everyone. Happy, what is it? It's Monday, right?
Yeah, come on, we know it's Monday.
Listen, I'm on my own time. My kids are off from school for 2 weeks. This is the second week, so lucky me. I know. Happy Lunchtime Live. Lauren Conlon here, Jack Fox. It's been a while. My favorite statement analyst, deception detector extraordinaire. He's fabulous. You all know him. And if you don't follow him, make sure you follow him everywhere, but specifically on YouTube at Never a Truer Word Video. What is that face for? Tell me what that face is for right now.
That face was, thank you very much. Thank you for promoting like the first thing you did. I can go now. You've done all the promotion. I've got everything I wanted out of it. I'll just leave. Thank you.
No. You are staying, my friend. But hello to everyone in the chat. Hey, Sue. Hey, Afton. Hey, Sal. Sal is not feeling well, so we can all give him a big feel better hug. BGOG. Hey, I don't know you, but I'm happy to know you. We're doing a little throwback lunchtime today. Jack and I hadn't been on together for a couple weeks now, and I wanted to make it easy on him, but also interesting. So we wanted to talk about JonBenét, namely some old interviews that Patsy Ramsey did. Her statements. I'm not accusing anyone, of course. I truly don't think Patsy killed her daughter. That's for another day, another time, another topic. I believe Patsy knows what happened to her daughter, or she knew, but again, another day. And also, we'll be discussing Casey Anthony and her Substack. And of course, I'm sure we'll get to Caylee as well. Casey Anthony was acquitted of murder in 2011. Hi, Gina. Hi, Carrie. But first, not to make this about me, but I did want to show you this because JonBenét and I had something in common. If you can see this right here, I am at my parents' house. So yes,
wow.
This is Lauren. So yes, we have something in common, and this is no fun. Let me just tell you, this is no fun for me anyway.
It doesn't look fun whenever I see it. No one looks like they're having a good time.
Sorry, you can see that's me right. That's me right there.
Wow.
Just no fun. I gotta say, some people really enjoy it, the pageant circuit. I would never put my child through this personally. It's not for the weak. It's not for the faint of heart. It's tough. It's really tough. So, but JonBenét seemed to really enjoy it from everything I've heard and seen, right? I mean, she's 6. I don't know. How much do you really want to do stuff at 6? Or does your mom tell you? I don't know. But wow. I'm a motor mouth. Jack, can you say something?
We don't have pageants over here in the UK, so it's a completely new world to me. I should say, like, maybe we do have them, and it's just never entered my world. But it's really not as big a thing as it is over there with you guys. Yeah,
no, that's so interesting. So you don't have them for I guess little kids. You obviously have them because there's Miss Universe and there's whatever. I feel like there's lots of there are different pageants, just not for little kids, right?
I cannot talk to the kid ones. I have been to the final of Miss Scotland once before. If that's any help. It was a wild night.
No, that works. And hey, again to everyone in the chat, Afton, or I said Afton, sorry. MJ, you're here. Hey, Diana. Hey, Oasis. Okay, guys, look, see, Jack, I told you this was coming. Dark side, we can't talk about my hair anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Because if I say one thing about my hair, the comments go crazy about how all I care about is my makeup and my hair, and I just can't take it anymore from trolls. So, but thank you so much. So I told you, Jack, I literally told you this would happen.
Darkside says it's cute. You're getting good comments there.
I know, but then after the fact, it gets wild. But we are going to start with JonBenét today, or I guess Patsy Ramsey, and I'll give you guys one last look at Lauren as JonBenét, but no. But I think in all seriousness here, Patsy Ramsey was ridiculed a lot for many of her statements. And it's really sad. I mean, she had cancer, obviously, but she was heavily medicated. And it's very obvious in so many of her interviews. And statement-wise, she does make some odd statements. I think she does do a lot of distancing, but Jack will get into it. And Afton, I agree. Thank you so much. Apparently I will with my hair comments. So, but let's share this interview, Jack. And everyone, I'm going to play it on a regular speed because it's fairly short. So, but you just tell me when to stop, Jack. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Atlanta. Okay. Well, let me start out first of all.
Wait, I'm going to make it louder. Sorry.
Why Why did you decide you wanted to talk?
They had not yet.
Is that me?
When you return to Boulder, you will sit down with the Boulder police?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want them to know everything possible.
Everything.
That can help them.
Whatever they want, whatever anyone wants, we will cooperate.
Well, I think this is the video doing that. Okay.
Again, it's a mystery at this point. Do you truly think the perpetrator will be found?
Nauseating beyond belief.
You know, America has just been hurt so deeply with the tragic things that have happened. The young woman who drove her children into the water, and we don't know what happened with the O.J. Simpson. And
Oh my
I mean, America is suffering because they have lost faith in the American family.
That's tough.
Should we stop there? Or just
the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we should. This is oh my gosh, it's really it's tough to listen to her. Oh my gosh, it's so tough.
Do you know what? Before I statement analyze it, as a human, what was her husband thinking of allowing her to go on CNN in that state? Because for me, no matter what happened, a recently bereaved mother, medicated, absolute sense. This is only, I think, a week after JonBenét was found dead inside the house. So that's entirely understandable. There is no way she should have been allowed to talk to a reporter in that state at all. It just should not have happened. It was a horrible thing to do.
You're right. Her husband, her friends. I mean, why? You're so right. She's slurring. It's like putty. It's so stretched out.
Yeah.
Every word she says. Ugh.
And she's not making sense. She talks about we don't know what happened with the O.J. Simpson, which is not a grammatically correct sentence. So she's, it's very much to me, just sounds like, when you're talking to someone who's drunk and they're not making a lot of sense and you're kind of like trying to piece the words together. What do they actually mean here? That's what's going on there. Just the other thing that I had there was because even in the state that she's in, I think the concepts we can still look at. And she invokes God a lot, which is something that guilty people will do. That's not me saying she's guilty, but the sort of the honest to God or a sort of resume statement about saying I'm a church-going person, the inference being, therefore, I could not have done anything bad. But as we know, and especially Lauren, with some of the work that you've done, people involved in the church can do bad things all the time. The fact you're involved in a church does not mean you are unable to do bad things. And then the other thing I think she does there, which is quite interesting, is she tries to join herself up to all Americans, which is something that is a concept called social proof. They use it a lot in adverts, so you see it nowadays with people giving their ratings on things like TripAdvisor and so on, like 4.5 out of 5 stars and so on. It's a social proof thing where companies go, this is how we're rated, so we're worth buying from. And I think here that's kind of what Patsy's doing. It's not proof of guilt or proof of innocence. She just seems to be joining herself up and saying, we are part of you. We are all Americans here. So don't think too badly of us because we are just like you. You could take that thought both ways, which is don't judge us harshly because we are just a typical American family that a bad thing has happened to. Or she's trying to distance and deflect away from this, going, I'm just like you. You wouldn't do this, so neither would I.
Yeah, I mean, what is the point, I guess, of bringing up, she didn't say Susan Smith, but she talked about the mom driving her kids into a lake. And you're like, well, are you painting yourself to be a better mom than that? Because I'm going to just put this out there. I don't think any mom should compare themselves to, let's say, Susan Smith or Casey Anthony. That's not really, you're kind of setting the bar very low for yourself.
It's not top of my list of people I would compare myself to.
Yeah.
And I think what you got, because she's so far sedated, is she's trying to drag up some concepts here. And I think the concept here is that bad things have happened, almost like it's normal that bad things happen. I know that's not quite what she's saying, but she is saying, bad things happen to people, which could be something that would point to a kind of innocence. A bad thing has happened to my family, just like a bad thing happened in the Susan Smith case, just like bad things happened to Ron Goldman and Nicole as well in the O.J. Simpson case. It could be that she's doing. Interesting that she goes to very famous cases, and I believe at this point they had spoken to the police on the day, but then they'd fled to Atlanta, weren't really contactable by Boulder police, and decided to go on TV to do an interview, kind of raising their profile in a sort of public relations exercise.
Yes, and Afton, that sort of should answer your question here. They hadn't done their official police interview yet. They were talking to the media, and then I think that it started to raise a lot of suspicions here.
Yeah, as someone who's studied a lot of Ramsey words, I believe that they will now claim that at the time, very shortly after that Christmas Day when it all happened, John's friends were advising him that the police have you in their sights. Get yourself out of Boulder, and do not talk to the police right now. Get attorneys and so on lined up. So while they might not be named suspects, I don't think they were ever really named as suspects. They felt at this time that the spotlight wasn't them. And
it's funny. Remember, I guess they hadn't officially been named suspects, but the DA, I'm drawing a blank on her name. It was, I don't want to say it was like recently, but like 10 years ago recently. She wrote that letter and she said something about them being acquitted or something. And I'm just like, how can you be acquitted of something that you were never convicted of, you never even went to trial for? I mean, talk about guilty words. That is so to me.
Yes.
So, all right, let me go back to this very painful interview.
Gotten up, we were it was the day after Christmas, and we were going to go visiting, and it was quite early in the morning, and I had gotten dressed and was on my way to the kitchen to make some coffee. And we have a back staircase from the bedroom areas, and I always come down that staircase, and I'm usually the first one down. And the note was lying across the 3 pages across the run of one of the stair treads. And it was kind of dimly lit. It was just very early in the morning. And I started to read it, and it was addressed to John. It said, Mr. Ramsey. And it said, we have your daughter. And it just wasn't registering. And I may have gotten through another sentence, like, we have your daughter. And I don't know if I got any further than that. And I immediately ran back upstairs and pushed open her door, and she was not in her bed. And I screamed for John.
Stop there.
Asked for $118,000.
I should say, by the way, the reason this keeps flipping between different versions is because the original does not exist anymore, I believe. So it's being reconstructed from different bits that were shown on different documentaries.
I didn't realize that. I wonder if that is on purpose.
Who knows?
Yeah. Break it down for us. I hear a lot of delay, so break it down.
There is a lot there. Listen, what we didn't hear there was the question that was asked to get that response. And the question was, Mrs. Ramsey, you found the note. Was it a handwritten note, 3 pages? And she did not answer that question. She did tell us somewhere in the middle of that it was 3 pages, but she doesn't mention the handwriting there. So that gives me a feeling that she's going into a prepared answer, a story that she wants to tell, rather than dealing with the question there. She says, I had just gotten up. Now, that's the first thing in her story. She wants to tell us that I had just gotten up. That makes me think, why say that? It's not relevant there. So actually, had she just gotten up, or had she been up a long time when she found this note? We were on our, who's we? Where were you on? She doesn't finish that thought. She thinks, I'm going to say something different here. So she says, we were on air. It was the day after Christmas, and we were going to go visiting, and it was quite early in the morning, and I had got dressed and was on my way to the kitchen to make some coffee, and we have a back staircase from the bedroom areas. I always come down that staircase, and I am usually the first one down. So let me just repeat that bit there. I always come down that staircase, and I am usually the first one down. She doesn't tell us what happened that morning. She tells us what happens in general, that she always goes down that staircase. She's usually the first one down. So I've got a couple of data points in there, which is when she tells me I'd just gotten up. Had she just gotten up? I'm not entirely sure. And when she says in general what happens, rather than I was the first one up and went down the back staircase, but tells us in general what happened, is that what happened? It's not falling together for me like a believable story at this point.
Can I ask you something really quick? Do you think it's weird? I know we always talk about this because I remember this from the Sebastian Rogers case. The mom said something like, I woke up, and you said the same thing with Patsy. I woke up, da-da-da. Is it more, I don't want to say believable, but is it more natural to kind of say, when I woke up, I did this? Is that sort of what? Okay.
Yeah,
because
when I think about it, we're not conscious of waking up, are we? We don't think, I've woken up. We wake up. It's a process that we go through rather than a moment that we hit. So yeah, I would say there's something in there.
Okay.
So the note was lying across and then she says the note was lying across the 3 pages across the run of one of the stair treads. So she does go back to the question at that point, and it's as if her head is going, oh, I was actually asked the question here that I better, try and give some semblance of answering. So it was 3 pages. It was kind of dimly lit. It was just very early in the morning. Now, just is one of my red flag for deception words. Trust me, if you take one thing from this, if you hear the word just, focus in on why is it being used. It doesn't prove someone's lying, but why is she telling us it was just very early in the morning? And I started to read it, and it was addressed to John, and it said, Mr. Ramsey, we have your daughter. And it just wasn't registering. Interesting that it wasn't registering. I may have gotten through another sentence. We have your daughter. I don't know if I got any further than that. Now, this sort of contradicts the 911 call, where she reads the end of the note, doesn't she, to the 911 operator? Like it says the initials that are the end of it. So that contradicts that. But look at the state of her. I'm not surprised that there may be some contradictions coming out there. I immediately ran back upstairs. Now, why they need to tell us it was immediate? Why not just I ran upstairs? But she wants to tell us she very quickly ran upstairs. It's a needless word. It doesn't add anything to the story other than maybe getting across something that is important for her that we hear, which is that immediately. So I'm getting the sense that this is a rehearsed story, but not really a truthful story. Pushed open the door, and she was not in her bed, and I screamed for John. So it all feels like it doesn't hang together for me. There's just too many little indicators there that we're not getting the full story. We're not hearing the full truth from Patsy in that description of how she found the ransom note.
And do you think that this could possibly have anything to do with the fact that she is probably on, what year was it? I don't know, Quaaludes? Were people still taking Quaaludes then? I don't even know. I was going to say Xanax, but I feel like it's something way stronger than a Xanax.
Look, I'm not 100% certain, but for me, the question is asked. You found the note. Was it handwritten in 3 pages? The easy answer, and if we're medicated or in any state out of it, it does make us loquacious sometimes, but the really easy answer is, yeah, it was handwritten in 3 pages long. But she avoids saying whether it was handwritten or not, which is very strange. Like, why avoid that? And as bad as it is, she launches into a story I would think she has pre-prepared, one that she's ready to tell, may have already told before. But as I say, it does contradict the 911 call where she reads the end of the note out.
Yes. And one other thing, I think I put this out there a while ago, but I did see in another interview that Patsy did, she said that she bounded up the stairs. And I found that word to be interesting because JonBenét was found partially bound. I mean, she was.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of the Chris Watts thing about the girls coming barreling into the,
yes,
or whatever, barreling through the door. Then they were, so it's one of those truth within lies. Is that what you call it? Please.
Exactly. It's a sort of leakage.
Leakage.
Let's just go with something here, which is entirely possible, which is that she or John or someone found the ransom note a hell of a lot earlier. So let's just say there was a ransom note, they didn't write it, and they found it a hell of a lot earlier. And they may well have stayed up for 3-4 hours thinking, should we call the police? Is that the right thing to do? Or is there a way we can solve this without involving the police? And they just talked about it for a long time, then decided there was no way out other than to call the police, but wanted to make it seem like it was immediate, like they had just found this and called the police because they thought, well, bad things may happen and we might get the blame for delaying or so on. So that's potentially what all that deceptive indicators inside that story happened. So I'm not saying that she's lying through her teeth here. There are explanations for it that are innocent, that would show you that the reasons why these things come through. What I will say is, from that description there, I don't think she just gotten up. I don't think she stumbled across the ransom note. Maybe someone else even stumbled across the ransom note. I don't think it was all found, or the ransom note was discovered, or however it went down at that time in the morning, just before she called 911.
I think you're right about that. I think that you're so accurate in the sense that maybe she's not lying through her teeth, but they had a lot of time to stew on this.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard different theories about how some people believe that JonBenét never, or basically didn't go back to her home on Christmas Day evening alive, that she was already deceased. So yes, it's possible that Patsy did see, her hands bound or whatever it was, and she leaked out. She bounded up the stairs. Who knows? But I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, and looking at some of the other interviews from the Ramsey family, that Christmas night, the descriptions of what happened that Christmas night, not entirely reliable to me either. So something could have happened that Christmas night. I would agree that's certainly a possibility. Again, I'm not saying they did something to their daughter that Christmas night. What I'm saying is I just think this did not happen in as small a time frame as the Ramseys say, and they may have reasons for keeping that to themselves.
Yes, I agree with you. And just quickly before I go back to this playing the interview, if you're watching from my channel, Pop Crime TV, make sure you subscribe to Jax at Never a Truer Word Videos. And if you're watching from Jax, make sure you subscribe to mine at
all two of the people watching on mine can subscribe to you. Subscribe to Lauren.
You have a lot watching right now. I just noticed that. So I wanted to. You do. Stop.
Oh, yeah.
You're so
I've got new fans in the Caribbean this week.
I know your Joshua Rive video. My goodness, it's so good. Everybody go check that out. Regarding the disappearance of Sudiksha Kananki, who I guess has presumed to be deceased by drowning. Another topic. But Afton, I want to read this. Personally, bounded isn't a word I would use to describe an action if I'm in that emotional state. Bounded has a happier connotation to me. That's interesting. I get that.
Yeah.
All right.
Told the Ramseys to wait for a phone call.
We'd waited until after the time that the call was supposed to have been made to us. And one of the detectives asked me and my friend who was there to go through every inch of the house, see if there's anything that was unusual or abnormal, looked out of place.
Telling for clues.
I think she was asking us to do that more to give us something to do to occupy our mind. And so we started in the basement, and we're just looking, and we have one room in the basement that when I opened the door, there are no windows in that room, and I turned the light on, and she was in the ribs, sir. I'd hoped that she was still okay, but I could tell that she probably wasn't. I screamed and carried her upstairs. Patsy and I, Burke, our son, was 9. Every family member,
including your 2 elder children. Were you offended by that?
It was difficult, but, you know, they need to know. I mean, our handprints are all over our home. So they need to know if there are other ones.
one of the things they told us, we had some initial.
Sorry, I found that to be so weird.
It's for the John part about finding the body, I did find that it obviously is traumatic for him to tell that story, or maybe not obviously, maybe he's just a very good actor. The phrase that he used that I wondered about was "still okay." Not just okay, I thought she was okay or alive, but still okay. Would you have some thought of, is something, so if you left something out the front of your house that you forgot about, you'd say, is it still there? Because you knew it was there, and is it still there? So for it to be still okay, then he must have known a time when she was maybe there or okay, and wanted her to be still okay, not just okay. So I found that, again, it doesn't mean someone is guilty. It's just a strange way of wording it there. And there's lots of strange stuff when the Ramseys talk about this. And then they are asked about having their, I think it's their fingerprints or handprints taken. And they're asked, are you offended? And John says no. And then Patsy gives that longer answer again. It was difficult, but they need to know. I mean, our handprints are all over our home, so they need to know if there are other ones. It's all a bit in doubt in her mind. She's not saying they need to know which ones are ours, so they know which ones are not ours, or like, it's in her head, are there other handprints in the house when our daughter has been murdered and there's a ransom note and so on? It's just a little bit doubtful for me that she thinks there are other handprints in the house.
Well, do you think it's weird that she had to reiterate that, of course, the Ramseys' handprints would be all over their house? It's their freaking house. Why do you have to say that? I guess I just don't think that's a normal thing to say. Can we assume that your fingerprints are all over your house? Yes. Like, I don't quite. That to me was just odd. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you ask me, I'd be like, oh, no, but she seems to be in explaining mode.
Wait, but again, what do you mean? Say no, sorry, for what?
So the question is, were you offended by that? So if something happened at your house and they took your fingerprints, would you be offended by that?
No, yeah.
No, because they're ruling you out. And that's kind of what she's saying. But what she's actually saying is our handprints are everywhere anyway. That could be, but only could be, a sort of defensive answer going on there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I thought that was super strange. And I have chills about what you said about John Ramsey saying she was still okay. What? And you're right. It could be nothing. Sure. It doesn't implicate guilt, but it's an odd thing to say. I would just say, like, if it was my child, I think I would say, I just want to check on her to see if she's okay. I check on my kids all the time. Yeah. Are they okay?
Just thinking it through is that 6+ hours have passed since he, in his story, had a ransom note, that someone had their daughter, and in the ransom note was threatening to kill their daughter if these things did not happen. And then he finds her 6 hours later inside the house. Would you use the word still?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
But, like, it's hard sometimes because I'm not judging either, because I, thank God, have not been in a situation like this, but it's weird. It's tough. All right. Should I go back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reactions as to who might have been involved, and they said, "Oh, that's good, but we don't want to draw the focus in tight yet. We've got to look at everything."
An FBI spokesman was quoted as saying, at this point, they don't regard it necessarily as a kidnapping.
That sounds like kidnapping to me.
You've got to wonder what happened. Or was this a true attempt to?
I don't know.
Get
It
ransom?
It makes no sense to me at all.
You believe it's someone outside your home.
There is a killer on the
Absolutely.
loose. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's a he or a she. But if I were a resident of Boulder, I will tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
Yeah.
You can stop there. I
Yes,
think that's
oh my goodness, that was, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I never liked that when she said that. Oh, I never liked that.
That was a really interesting question and answer session
Yeah.
there. You believe it's someone outside your home is what is put there. Patsy says there's a killer on the loose. Now that's factually true. Doesn't matter who did it, whether it was an inside job or whether it was a complete stranger. There's a killer in the loose. And John says absolutely, which is another one of my I really don't like words. I can't, pronounce a guy guilty on the use of it, but I hear it and go, And then she says,
Can you tell people why, just in case they are not familiar with why you hate absolutely?
I hate absolutely. Absolutely, number one, is not a synonym for yes, because yes means yes. Yes and no are binary. So yes, no. Absolutely, people use it like a super yes. So, are you sure about that? Absolutely. Not just yes. It's like, oh, I'm really super sure, which is convincing and persuasive. Not every time you hear absolutely is it, a proof of a lie, but it means that that person is trying to over egg it and go, no, I'm absolutely sure. In this case, was absolutely, yeah. It's like, no, don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Makes sense.
Then Patsy, again, look, we have to take into account her state here, but she says, I don't know who it is. Interestingly, she's only talking for herself. So she's not talking for herself and John. We don't know who it is there. She's talking for herself and saying, I don't know who it is. Then she says, I don't know if it's a he or a she, which is just interesting in thinking about what her thought process is here. Was it a male or a female? I think many people would think if a young child has been killed that male would be the gender that just bang pops into your head as most likely there. But she says, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but if I were a resident of Boulder, I would tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there. If I were a resident, by the way, they've moved on from Boulder by then, 1 week later, and they've checked out of Boulder and have decided that they are never going back there again. So yeah, what I really found interesting there, she was talking for herself. She said, yeah. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's a he or a she. And there was no we in there, which two people there. I'm not saying we would expect we, and anything without we is just, suspicious. But the fact that she says, I don't know, just says to me, does she suspect John does?
Right. And I guess something else, maybe it's just me, but if I move after a week from a place that I've lived for a very long time, I don't know if I would right away denounce myself as a resident of that area. I mean, maybe I would. It just seems really interesting, the distance that she is putting between herself and Boulder, but that could also be a coping mechanism. She's going through a lot of grief. So I did find that interesting. Like, all of a sudden you want no connection to Boulder whatsoever. Like, what is in Boulder besides very obvious, which is awful, the death of your daughter, the murder of your daughter? Why do you want, it's interesting.
You'll also notice they did not answer the question. The question was, you believe it's someone outside your home. And they don't once go, yeah, this was not anyone inside the house. This was not me. This was not John. This was not Burke. They say there's a killer on the loose. And then she says, I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's a he or a she. So neither of them shut down this question that you believe it's someone from outside your home, which is kind of an offensive question almost, if you think about it. Like, do you believe it's someone outside your home? Of course we do. It was not us. They don't
You're
take
right.
any offense there. They go, there's a killer on the loose. If I were a resident of Boulder, I would tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. Which is, again, did she not keep JonBenét close to her? Is that her thinking there? Is JonBenét being too far away for her in this situation? Is that what her thought process is saying?
Yeah. Makes me so sad. Like JonBenét was such a beautiful child. Oh my gosh. And just the home videos looking back, when she's not in all that makeup and all dolled up for the pageants, she looked like just a regular happy kid. It's so heartbreaking. I mean,
it
what
is.
What the hell was going on? I really, it's so bothersome. It eats at me. It really does.
I believe, from having looked at a lot of their interviews and the 911 call and the ransom note, I think the Ramseys' friends hold the key to this. John especially mentions his friends all the time in interviews. In this one here, which is the very first one they did, in the most recent one I've seen him do, which was just towards the end of last year, he talks about his friends all the time. I think friends hold the key to what happened in this case. I don't think it's so far from home at all.
I do have a hard time just because human nature, we want to talk. We can't really keep secrets for that long. I mean, I haven't had a murderous secret, so maybe those secrets are different, but you would think that by now, if one of their friends did hold the secret, they would have squealed. Maybe not, but
I mean, my thinking on that is that if it's mutually beneficial for both the Ramseys and the friend to keep their mouth shut, then they maybe both would.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say no more than that because I don't want to get.
No, you're right. And our expert here, Frank Zell, said you just nailed it. And Frank and his brother have been looking into this case for the last 2 decades. So
Really?
yeah. Oh yeah. You should check out Frank and his brother. They are in the Zeller.com, and they also did 2 episodes of True Crime Garage, that podcast. They have something that they called the Boulder Syndrome. It's really interesting for you to look into. Jack, I know that you're all over this, but
yeah, no, I find it fascinating. I really do find it fascinating.
Yeah. All right, I will play the last part of this.
What I remember about her was that if I would frown, she would look at me and say, "Dad, I don't like that face." And I'd smile and she said, "That's better." And it's just the way she was.
She loved her daddy. She loved her daddy. She was daddy's girl.
Aww. Is that it? Yeah,
I think that's about it.
They speak with CNN in Atlanta.
That's it. That was sad. Oh, that was really sad.
Yeah, she should not have been doing that interview in a month of Sundays. It was just, and that's maybe I'm being very judgmental here, but what kind of guy is John to put his wife, who factually has lost a daughter, no matter how it happened, who was involved, is also recovering from cancer, is on a lot of medication, and yet he's sticking her up, or someone stuck them up to do this interview with CNN, and he hasn't gone, I'll do this on my own.
I know. And did you notice, I mean, this is small, but I did notice Patsy's, she had a perfect French manicure as well, which is kind of like, look, now it's 2025, your nails can last a really long time. But then I'm kind of thinking, did you get like a fresh manicure for this interview? That's kind of wild to think about, if you got fresh nails for CNN after your daughter was,
well, from what I've read, yeah, it's very possible that those things could happen. I think also we didn't spot it there because I don't do body language, but I think that is the interview where Patsy's saying something and John starts to mouth it along with her. You might find it in the comments of that actual video, as if there's a prearranged script and he starts saying the words along at the same time as she does.
That is so strange. That's like a stage mother thing to do. If you're watching your child act on stage and you're in the front row and you're mouthing all the words, that's super weird. Super duper weird. Well, I mean, the JonBenét case is fascinating. We could probably do a million hours on this, but for the live stream's sake, let's close the book on this. Jack and I will do more if Jack is willing to come back and do some more analysis on Patsy.
Always.
Yeah. Let me pull up. Oh, and this is interesting. So Fleet White, another one of the Ramsey's friends, and I don't want to spread rumors, but there are a lot of rumors about Patsy and Fleet White, and it's very wild. But let's pull up Casey Anthony.
Oh,
now,
yes, please.
Yes. So this is tough because on one hand, the argument is you don't want to give her publicity, right? Casey Anthony, she's done enough. We don't need to spotlight her, but this is pretty ridiculous. I think what she's doing on Substack in her video, and this was a few weeks ago, but something that Jack pointed out that we were looking at before this live stream is she has private members that she has promised content to. And I think she's making $1,000 a month based on these private members, which you can see on her Substack. And by the way, her public members, she has about 5,000 public members. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
She's posted no content for the private members, and she's making about $1,000 a month off of that.
Yeah, no.
So
when I looked at the TikTok that she did, I was like, why has she done this? And just looking at the words, my conclusion was for money. Like, she wants to make money. Looked at it, lo and behold, you have to sign up. You don't have to, but you can sign up and pay on the Substack. And then that was the 1st of March. She sent that TikTok video out. So it's the 24th March now. She has posted no content there, but has hundreds of subscribers paying $10 a month, which means she's making about at least $1,000 for nothing. She hasn't posted anything since she posted that TikTok on Substack.
Yeah, and you know, I understand she was found not guilty. She was just, disclaimer. But it's like, Tanya Harding is resurfacing and tweeting, and it's kind of like, nobody wants you around. Go away. Casey Anthony, go away. Read the room, honey. Like, it's just strange. I can't imagine. Just live your life, date all the married men that you want. It's wild. So yeah, I'm the worst. I'm trying to be, I don't know why I'm trying to be so nice about this, but it's just, it's bothersome.
There's nothing nice in that TikTok that she's done. It was, I think it was really a naive, it was money making, but I think she thought she could just rehabilitate herself in the public perception because, well, hey, you're on TikTok, so no one can ask you questions. You can just give a video straight out there. But it's tone deaf. It was. Casey's number one priority is Casey.
Yeah, and this is so funny because Afton said, careful, she'll sue you for libel, which we'll get to because that was so funny. It was like, sorry, Casey Anthony is trying to teach us the law and she can't even spell libel. It's amazing. But I just feel like, what are you doing? Honestly, what are you doing here? I just, go away. Go away. And listen, I don't even want to watch her full video, Jack. I'll play a clip of it, and I just would love for you to just sort of like analyze, because I can't look at her talking. I really can't. But let me pull this up really quick. We'll play some of it. Should I do? I'll do it on maybe. What is the speed I have? I don't even know. Sorry. Okay. This is very slow. I don't know why. All right, I don't know what's going on. This is so weird. Should
I think you might need to click play.
I did.
It's not.
Sorry, I'm not yelling at you. I'm not yelling at you. I swear.
This is like being married to you.
I did click. I totally clicked play, and now I hit pause again, and then this is maybe I'll just download it and see if that works. Or wait, you know what I could probably do? Let me see if I can play. I downloaded it. Here, I'll pull it up. Ew. I'm gonna delete this right after. Actually, I'm gonna get it right off my computer. I'll play the video file from my desktop. Here we go. All right.
We're sweat to death. Okay.
Thanks, Casey.
Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Caylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack. If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond.
I can't. I mean, you just nailed it though. She doesn't want to do any of that. She just wants money. So all that being said, can you just please join me on Substack? And then Karen, you said it's sweat to death. Do you think Caylee was okay in the fucking trunk of your car? Do you think sorry, allegedly, I mean, not allegedly, not guilty, whatever. God, I don't know what I'm saying now, but honestly, sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that. Listen, if I wanted to rehabilitate myself in the public perception, the last thing I would do is start my video with sweat to death. So just tone deaf there. By the way, nothing says that I'm talking to you professionally like sitting in a car with the tattoo showing on your arm as you hold the camera up like that.
Yep. I can't. I mean, can I just say one other thing before you start? When she said, I'm doing this for my daughter, and then she goes on to say, Caylee Anthony is my daughter, Cindy and George, my mom, but this is not about them. But you just literally said 2 seconds ago that it was. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I need to say no more, really. She starts, and this is, I think it's just horribly transparent because she says, I am a legal advocate. I'm a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. Doing what? She doesn't say. I don't think she even knows what a legal advocate is. In fact, I'm not very clear what a legal advocate is. I'm a researcher.
She was living with her lawyer after she was acquitted. No, literally, that's what happened.
There you go.
Yeah, she was living with him. Stupid.
I'm a researcher. I use Google as well, Casey. And in this capacity, and this is this sort of high blown, in this capacity, I'm talking to you. I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, I start to advocate for myself. So she's just, actually, I'm here for myself. She tells us in her own words what this is about. Casey Anthony, this is not about legally advocating for people. This is not about her daughter. She says, I'm going to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. How? I've watched the whole thing. I do not know how she's advocating for her daughter there at all. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Caylee Anthony. Interesting. My daughter is present tense. I don't. Now we see the parents sometimes of deceased children saying is when it's very new and they haven't come to terms with it inside their minds that the child is now in past tense, if you like, when we're talking about it from word senses. What I think the is means there is that Caylee is still very much alive in Casey's world, i.e. she'll never be able to escape Caylee at all. So Caylee is with her all the time. And I don't mean that in a bad way that she wants to escape. Most of us, while our children might be our pride and joy and so on, we're not defined by our children. They're not is with us all the time, whereas Casey's daughter always will be. Very few people will ever be able to think of Casey without Caylee also being part of the equation. So I think that's where the is comes from. You called the next bit. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. Well, you don't need to tell us about them then, do you? And this is not in response to anything they have said or done. Now, when someone tells you what something isn't or what's not happening, that is still where their focus is. So even if they're telling you, even if she's not telling you this is not about them, she's still got her focus on them. She's telling you it's not about them, but her focus is on them. And this is not in response to anything they have said or done. Her focus is still on what they have said or done. So she's big mad at her parents, and she carries that on by saying, that's not to say I'm not going to respond at some points to some of the things they have said and done.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what do you want? Like, what are you trying? Sorry.
Yeah.
It honestly, it's so hard. It's like, I wanted to do this with you. I really did, because I loved your analysis and I loved a lot of your tweets on it. But it's like, I do find it so difficult to stomach her and stomach anything she says.
It's just an advert for her Substack. It's so much hot air. The only thing that I believe in her is when she's saying things like, I'm doing this for me, and this is all about me, and I'm stepping forward. I believe that, but it's just an advert for Substack. And look, it worked. If she's making $1,000 a month out of that through no actual content, well, I'm not saying it worked. I think someone might come knocking on the door at some point and ask for a refund if I've spent money to see what Casey has written, and she has written nothing. But yeah, it's so self-serving. It's so all about her. And she just doesn't have the smarts to be able to articulate. Well, when I say smarts, maybe she has some smarts, but what she can't do is she can't articulate what it is that she's there for, because she doesn't have the real experience to articulate it at all. And what you'll probably find that is slightly deceptive, in that she wants to paint this picture of her as this legal advocate who's going to be doing great things on Substack, but she doesn't have the authentic experience or thoughts or feelings, so she can't translate that into language that just flows.
No, I mean, and I think that clip is 4 minutes. Maybe I'll play a little more. Maybe I will, just a tiny bit, and that's all I can handle. But I just keep thinking, I mean, move to Mexico, move somewhere except for the United States. I mean, she has no relationship with her parents at this point. I'm assuming maybe she talks to her mom. I don't know. But it's like, if you have nothing here, go start a new life for yourself. You have your freedom. Why do you want... does she think the public is going to accept her and just forget everything? It's so weird.
She does. That is what is there. She thinks that people will sign up and listen to her on Substack. She thinks that people want to hear from her. She that is absolutely in her words.
It's so weird. All right, I'll play a little bit more of this, and then I'm like, I can only stomach a little bit.
Point that has never happened, and it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding legal issues, legal matters. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, there are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur, and when necessary, people needed to step up, myself included. So as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights.
Sorry, I saw someone on TikTok. He was like, as a gay man, we don't want you as an advocate. It was so funny. It made me laugh so hard. There was a bunch of people on TikTok being like, nope, the gay community says, see you later.
Is it?
I feel that it's important that...
What's that?
I was only going to say, are there any psychologists in the chat? Because what I've noticed, which I hadn't noticed at the time, but I saw someone mention this in the chat, is she comes on and she tells us how she's a legal advocate, how she's a researcher, she's been in the legal field. Now she's saying she's a proponent for LGBTQ community, for the legal community, women's rights. And then that took me to the job at Universal Studios. Is there any name for this syndrome where someone just invents fictitious roles that they have had ad nauseum all the way through their life?
That is a great question. If Dr. Rachel was here, she could answer that. She sometimes pops into the chat, but I don't think she's here. But that is such a good point. And I just pinned that comment about Universal. Stupid liar. Anyway.
I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. With that, these aren't going to be perfect. They're not going to be edited. Most of the time, they're not going to be short. But I am proverbially standing in the light, embracing this piece, still going to keep my privacy intact. So you will get very comfortable with my car. And I will explain in great detail why it's so important for people to protect their privacy. It's not just important to public figures, it's even more important to private individuals. And with the current climate in our country especially, it's that much more important, which is why I am utilizing the Substack platform. Yes, I am advertising this and publishing this on TikTok, possibly also through other meta platforms, but my intention is to separate from that and showcase even more why Substack is.
Okay, I can't. I'm just done with her video for good. So, I mean, the car thing is so wild, Jack. Just knowing her daughter, I have no
And
words.
also, well, there's an interesting one. So I was asking the question because it's more of a logical thing, but why does being in a car help your privacy? I'm doing this from inside my house, but you could not tell where I live from anything you can see here. So I'm quite private here. So I don't know why being in the car helps our privacy. The other thing that I've noticed is that's her TikTok there. So that was the 1st of March that she published that. She hasn't done anything since on TikTok as well. So it obviously went down like a pile of sick when she said, these are not going to be perfect. They're not going to be short, but you will get very comfortable with my car. We haven't been back in your car at all, Casey, because you've decided that you really don't like this. The other thing I noticed there was she uses the word advertise. I'm advertising this and publishing it on TikTok. It's not publicizing it or, it's advertising. So this was all about money.
You're so right. And it is funny because her TikTok welcome, I mean, talk about savage. I do think TikTok might be one of the most savage platforms in terms of comments and just everything like that. But there was a viral song where I don't know if anyone saw it. I was obsessed. I went through and just doom scrolled all of these. It was people just mouthing and putting Casey's picture going, bye, bitch, bye, bitch. Like, it was just so good. It's like, nobody wants you here, literally. So I see why she only did one TikTok, because the minute she does a second one, I don't think there's going to be a second one, by the way. I don't know if you feel the same way, but yeah.
How many comments do you think that TikTok got?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Is it millions?
No. It's a trick question. None. She turned comments off.
Oh, I think I knew that. I think I knew that, actually. You did. Yeah. Yep.
Nothing says legal advocate like turning your comments off and not letting anyone talk to you who needs advocation.
Well, it's just like, why, if you're expecting the negativity, why do it? Why do it when you know you're going to get trashed? I mean,
money. There was a point which I don't think we really heard it there, where she says, let me just find the word so I'm not misquoting her.
Yeah.
She says, if you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. I will suggest that this whole video was done in a rush, as if it was, I need some money fast. What can I do? I'll do this. I'll say I'm going to do a Substack. I'll charge for the Substack. I'll make one video, and that's probably going to be enough. I'll turn comments off so I don't get comments. She has put, she hasn't posted on Substack. She's put some notes on Substack and argued with people in the comments on those notes, but she has not posted any content. So if you paid money for Casey's Substack, I'd ask for it back.
I know. And I know. I saw this on TikTok too. I took a screenshot because it made me laugh so hard. It said, find yourself someone who loves you as much as Nancy Grace hates Casey Anthony. And it literally was like, I want to print these and make Valentines out of them, because it's literally so good. And honestly, when this happened, I texted Nancy, and I'm like, we need your take. We are all dying for your take right now. And I gotta say, Nancy's video was so satisfying. It was so satisfying to see her not only just rip Casey, but advocate for Caylee still, because that is still what's important here, right? Is that a little girl, a helpless 3-year-old girl is dead, and somebody covered it up. And somebody got away with it. Isn't it crazy? There's still a child killer out there in Florida that was never caught, but nobody's scared of this child killer. And oddly enough, nobody in the area, no one else's kids died. That's really strange too, but what do I know?
Well, she did say in her TikTok she's advocating for her daughter, so I'm just waiting for that advocating to come. I can't see it happening somehow.
Yeah. Oh, but it's not about her. It's not about George and Cindy. It's not about Caylee. It's not. It's about, yeah. And I mean, and if people are like paying for her Substack to sort of make fun of her or what, that's just not, don't even pay for it. You can find other ways to do it. You don't need to give her money. You don't need to give her your hard-earned money. And I couldn't have said this better. Top mom, go away. Literally go away. Yeah. So Jack, this was awesome. This was so eye-opening. I'm so glad we did this. Really.
It's been fun. It's been a fun way. It's in fact, I've got a yoga class in 45 minutes. I better go.
Oh, you're so good. You're so good about this. Yeah, at night you take yoga and you don't have a drink. That's great. Maybe you have a drink after. I don't know.
No, never. I go to bed after yoga. I'm like,
wait, good for you. Good for you.
It's my one calmer of the week.
I love it. And I loved this, Karen. Just like OJ, what did he say? I'll never stop searching for the, okay, cool. Yeah. And so everybody, again, thank you, Afton, for reminding everybody to go drop a like on Jack's channel at Never a True Word Video. Subscribe there. Subscribe to Pop Crime TV. And also something really important in the episode notes, Jack is offering a course on statement analysis, which we are very spoiled that we have him to ask these questions on the live stream, but you can actually take his course, very affordable. Check it out. It looks amazing. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah. And if you do subscribe on that link, you get a little discount as well.
Oh, fun. You do? I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's so great.
Unlike Casey Anthony, I'm offering some discounts on my content.
And you're actually going to make the content, which is amazing. So,
content is actually made. Yes, it is actually going out right now. It's all there. It's legit.
Yes, I love it. And just for my stream, Jarrett and I will be doing a live at some point this week, I think, just not on Wednesday. So I'll keep everybody posted there. But anyway,
he's
thank
so
you
cool.
So much. What'd you say?
Jarrett is so cool. I want to do live likes Jarrett. I just have to.
Oh my! I know. I wish I could be that laid back.
Oh, he is. He's. Like, I love watching you and Jarrett over Wednesday. It's such a great watch.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. So we'll do it another day this week. I just have some stuff going on. But the course is it live or a podcast?
It's an email-based course. So I found that the other courses that are about are way too expensive for most people and take up a lot of time. So this is a bit more of the basics. It's based on emails. You can go at your own pace with it as well.
That's so perfect for podcasters, journalists, reporters, law enforcement, everybody. I think that's so wonderful. And I think everybody should take it, truly. All right, Jack, we'll plan something again soon. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Because of that 9-line. And Ted Cruz said, look, if you're not into geopolitics, you won't notice this. I mean,